Good day. Today's lab is more about the attacks we're going to do than it is the configuration. So here's the layout that I have here at school. I'm using a Cisco 1841 Cisco router and a 2960 Cisco Catalyst switch. The router FA01 is plugged into switch port FA01, and then FA02, it goes around to the VM, which has a USB to RJ45 converter to be on the Ethernet. Remember, odd numbers are on the top, even numbers on the bottom. And when we're going to use PuTTY, we got to have a USB to DB9 rollover cable console port. That's a lot. So it's this blue cable here with the RJ45. It connects to a DB9, converts into a USB to the computer. So double check those. I'm using both cables, so I'm using 7 and 8. Here's a Raspberry Pi VM. Notepad. So let's take a look at what we're doing. Using a Raspberry Pi VM, preloaded with Yersinia, an attack tool, and Macof. It's short for Mac flooding. When I put the pounds in here, it means it's already done for you, almost like a comment. Wouldn't hurt to do them. IP address, that's one thing that you want to get right away, so I don't get confused. So it looks like it's working. So I'll put that right there. I must not have copy paste turned on in my VM. I'll fix that. Okay, so that's my VM. When we do the attacks, we want to do discover packets for DHCP, and we're going to do CDP tables for CDP neighbors. Show run is going to look very familiar to this. Here's the model of the router. Here's your DHCP. Ooh, that's got to go above. I better fix that now. Made myself a bounty. Caught my mistake before you did. So here's your name and your exclude DHCP. Oh, no, I'm not. That's for show commands. Confusing myself. So you show commands when we do the attacks, we'll be able to show bindings, show pool, and then we want to clear them. Your basic configs, logging synchronous is your best friend when you are in PuTTY terminal command line. It will not interrupt your typing. And here's your switch. So let's start here. So I'll just take the router config. That's the switch. Did that earlier. And once again, we want to kind of double check the paste. Automatically Ethernet comes up, and notice that you are right back to your typing. So it looks like a clean config. We'll go to the switch now. So enable down to logging synchronous. There's our switch. Okay, one thing that I didn't show you, port fast. You know, you have the 5 states of spanning tree, it takes 50 seconds. Well, that's what you want to do. And I did an interface range. So if you're not familiar with that, that's another really good tip. Configure all of them with port fast and they don't go through 50. They automatically come up when you plug in. All right. So first thing we want to do, I'm in the switch. I want to do show VLAN, show INT VLAN 1. And I'm looking for my address, so it's .100. So at this point, you know, I'd want to ping that real quick. 172.254.0. Turn your numlock on. 172.254.0.100. I hope you're giggling. Okay, so it's pinging because remember we'll have to cancel, Control C. I'm going to clear screen. All right. So there's your pi. So let's first off, you can Wireshark the event, but I'm not going to do that right now. So we can just do sudo Yersinia -G for graphical. Maybe. Ah, okay, just took a minute. All right, this is a alpha version, whatever. Look here, you have CDP, second tab, DHCP, 8021Q is VLAN tagging, 8021X, AAA. Yeah, that's AAA, DDP, trunking, HRSP, your redundant routing, your iSlip, which is the same as STP maybe, your VTP, and then your multi-protocol layer. That's a WAN protocol. So we're going to start with DHCP. And so the first thing we want to do in the router is do a show IP DHCP binding. And you see that I have one address here. A second one will pop up. So what is showing? The 100? So 102. Okay. We can also do, instead of bindings, we can do pool. And that's going to be helpful when we start exhausting the pool, because right now you have one address leased and you have 65,534 to give away. So I'm going to arrow up here and get this ready. So in here, your list attacks, there's no attacks, so we can quit. Launch attacks, and you have your tabs here. So we want to come down here to discover packets. You remember DHCP, the process, it's like the three-way handshake. So now 1,200 IPs are gone. 2,400 IPs are gone. Count your seconds. 4,000. Now let's do show bindings. And this is where you can see it counting. You just hit the space bar about 5 times. So we're at 0, 155, 161. Now we're going to flip right here. We're going to go to 200. Now we're getting close to flipping. When we get to 255, what happens? Boom. Here we go. 102, 112, 12, 13, 14. So you can watch it just exhaust this whole pool. And look at your MAC addresses. Are they the same or is it spoofing? All right, I'm going to stop the attack over here. Stop all. Now, if you hit arrow right, that should kick you out. And that's when you do arrow right on the keyboard kicks you out of like a command. So we need to clear our MAC addresses, and that command is right here. So it's IP DHCP pool, the name of the pool, bindings, and asterisk means all. Oh, I don't have paste turned on. Clear IP DHCP pool. You have to spell it correctly because a typo will mess it up. DHCP bindings, and then I'll do a question mark. You can specify a network address or an IP, or you can do all. So now it's clearing all those given out. So if I do bindings again, none. So it actually took them away from all of them. They'll get them back. Okay. Now the second attack is going to be with the switch. So let's get the switch over here. So now so we can definitely do a show run. This is a switch. You have fast Ethernet, and see all the port fast? So every port has that turned on. And I wanted to show you the DHCP VLAN 1 IP address DHCP. So we're asking, so we can do a show INT VLAN 1. And there it is, 100. So right now, our show commands, let's get to the switch. Show INT VLAN 1, and then show CDP neighbors. Show CDP neighbors. Remember Cisco Discovery Protocol. The switch is seeing something called DHCP server through a fast Ethernet. It has the capabilities of the iOS of R, S, and I. Not sure, we can look that up. Your 1841 platform and FA00. So local port, and then the port that it's connected to the router. And the hold down time was the time it holds the routes, I believe. Okay, so let's do the CDP neighbor attack. So we'll do show CDP neighbors again. There's really nothing there but one. So if I click on CDP and say launch, we want to set an entire table, not just a neighbor, but an entire table of neighbors. So I hit OK, and then as soon as I do that, I can come back over to the switch, and it killed it. I can't arrow up, I can't press enter, so I'm going to have to stop the attack. So I list attacks, stop all, and then give me a second, and that switch will come back to life. So we flooded it so much with CDP requests that it shut the switch down. All right. Let's do we're going to do another attack, and we're not going to use Yersinia. So we can close out of that. What we're going to use is Mac dsniff. It's pre-installed. So if you do IP address, depending on your PC, so my Ethernet is named ETH0. So that's what we're going to use, sudo mac of-i for interface. Send all those frames out ETH0. So sudo mac of-i etho0. Now we want to show MAC address table. Okay, right now we have a total of 23 MAC addresses. Notice each one MAC address has an interface, and then you have CPU MAC addresses. So 23 total. So as soon as we hit this, we're going to give it a second. Now I'm using a Raspberry Pi, a VM. I didn't give it much RAM, only one CPU, so a physical machine will operate better. All right, so now when I show a MAC address table, hit spacebar, and look at it. It's all flooding through FA03. So if we just turn on MAC flooding, that would stop this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and let that roll. So MAC address table count. That's the one I forgot. So right now we have 8,000 total MAC addresses. So we've exhausted the entire memory location for MAC addresses. So we flooded this so no valid MAC addresses are allowed. So basically we've shut layer 2 down. When you shut layer 2 down, all end devices are at layer 2, all switches are at layer 2, all phones at layer 2, and all access points are at layer 2. So essentially you could shut down the entire network with a MAC address flood. So then what we want to do is clear those MAC address table. So let's see what we have now. So it's saying 8,000. So we need to clear MAC address table dynamic VLAN 1. This is definitely one of those you question mark through. So MAC dynamic VLAN 1. And then we want to verify with the count. So we're going back to total MAC addresses. So we have 7,918 to give out. So hopefully that clears up some of the things about how you attack Cisco devices. They are susceptible, but we also have mechanisms in place to be able to stop those attacks.